The blanket doesn't quite reach my feet, which are sticking out behind me, uncovered. I'm lying on my stomach, and this is important. I like where this is going, dude. I'm minding my own business while the projector is turning on, and none other than Ryan Lynch walks up behind me, crouches down, and lays his head on my feet very gently.
No.
I turn back as if to say, "What the fuck, man?" But no words come out. He must have clearly read the expression on my face because he quickly got up and walked away. Although not before covering my toes with the blanket. Always a gentleman, right?
So creepy.
The movie starts and it's entirely archival footage of my father and me from when I was a child.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Oops, the podcast, the final episode of 2023. We are rocking. We are rolling. What a year. Here we are. I'm sitting next to my loyal companion, trusty sidekick, Ryan Lynch, 28, the legend.
I thought you were going to say my childhood address. How you doing, Giulio?
I'm good, man. So, guys, it's important that we note this right at the outset of the episode, that Ryan has officially done the most notable thing of any person who's ever hosted this podcast.
I wouldn't say that.
Ryan is being covered in various news outlets now as the leader of this Chipotle portion movement. The thing that I think is funny about it, and I want to get into more of the specifics of how that rollout all came to be, because you sort of, you told me a little bit about it, but, in your nice, gentle way, you sort of did not put it in my face. So I've sort of been putting the pieces together and seeing this all unfold in real time, which has been incredible. But it's a little cheeky. Part of it is cheeky, it seems. Like, you're dressed in a suit. Like, this is funny.
Yeah.
Is that true? Like, you're clearly leaning into this, like, leader of this movement.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm not gonna break character on the facade of TikTok. I am intentionally being silly the worst possible person that you'd ever want to be enemies with.
It's really
Just
funny.
Super, super petty. Thank you.
The suit is really like makes it land, dude. It's a great bit. It's really fucking funny. And the reason also why it's so funny is because it is rooted in truth. Like, it is very stressful to go up to the counter of one of these, pick your protein places and watch them give you a half-ass scoop. Basically, you're starving and you want a nice full scoop of food, and they just give you a half scoop of chicken and you want more, and it sucks. And you're worried about that moment, and you've captured that and turned it into this hilarious bit of comedy that's really doing quite well.
Thank you. Yeah. It's, we had a couple articles come out about it. Chipotle finally responded to it, and what a terrible blunder of a response they gave. Wait, give me 1 second. I want to read the quote. I was so shocked because, there's millions of us now that are speaking out and just trying to let Chipotle know, hey, we're frustrated with this, and we're only telling you this because we love coming to your restaurant and we want to keep going to Chipotle.
And dude, anything that you say about Chipotle immediately gets gobbled up in the algorithm, the way that Chipotle patrons wish they were gobbling up chicken if they were getting fair portions.
That's a fair point.
You like that?
Yeah. So they did a couple quotes from the TikToks, basically, where I'm saying what Julie already said. We're frustrated with the portions. And so from this article from Ad Age.
Portion inconsistency.
The inconsistency. That's it.
Ad Age, was that who reached out to you to get the comment originally? And is that where all this press boom started, or had it already started?
Ad Age was the first legit site. And right before the article came out, I just Googled my name and I noticed that there were 2 or 3 articles that came out from these doinky publications where they never reached out to me. They just took quotes from the TikTok, and it seemed like AI wrote them itself. But there was a real person that I spoke with at Ad Age, and then the New York Post quoted that article.
So when you do these interviews, are you being dead serious in them? How is this going?
I acknowledge that like this is insane and silly and like.
Well, what about it? The fact that this is taken off, or that you're like fucking around, or are you doubling down?
No, I acknowledge that I'm doing this in a silly way, but the precedent is real. Like it is. I am speaking my mind. But the way you get people to listen is presentation. And so I think that being silly, being sarcastic, and being the most passive aggressive person on the planet is what's resonating with all these people that are frustrated. So I feel like that's why it's been able to do really well.
Dude,
and then another thing with the algorithm, there was that person that we spoke about, I don't know, like a couple weeks ago, that threw their burrito bowl at the cashier. We do not claim them as we spoke, but, and I might have already said this, but that is something that people are searching for on TikTok. And then that led to our videos being seen. And that just helped boost it even more and more and more. And so now it's kind of a thing. And Chipotle finally put out a response, and it's pathetic. They said, guests of Chipotle can completely customize their meals in restaurants by vocalizing their desired portions or digitally selecting extra, light, normal, or on the side when choosing from the list of real ingredients, said Lori Shalot, Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at Chipotle, in an email to Ad Age. And this is the quote that really pissed off a lot of people. Quote, "We have not changed our portion sizes, and we continue to receive praise for the incredible value our entrees offer." So they're doubling down.
People were pissed about this.
People were very pissed.
And people, when you say, so this is one of my favorite things. Ryan is saying we about this because he is the leader of a movement of this petty portion protest, of which clearly there are people who are commenting every single time you talk about it. It's really, I'm really enjoying this. You finally, the class president is back in the leader circle.
Yeah.
Lynch is back.
Yeah, it's been fun. And I, for the sake of content, I'm glad Chipotle, for the sake of content, it's kind of great that Chipotle doubled down on their take, because we're just going to come back even harder. You think about like North Face, a month ago, someone posted a similar video sarcastically, yet intentionally complaining about the waterproof jacket that they bought not being waterproof. Within 48 hours, North Face took the criticism, and instead of, being pompous and dismissive, they were like, you know what? Yeah, we did fuck this up. Let's take this one on the chin. Let's be self-deprecating, and let's like take advantage of this opportunity to like better our brand. They partnered up with that girl, and they made a TikTok within 48 hours where they delivered her a jacket that was waterproof, and they apologized, and it was self-deprecating. And that's a fun way to, deal with it. And I'm not like, this isn't like a threat that I want Chipotle to partner with us, but like there were many ways that you could have, reacted and responded that would have been beneficial to Chipotle, and you just made people a lot angrier.
Dude, it was funny. Like I expected the North Face response to be something a little, in my head I was like, what? I wonder what they did say. In my head I just pictured them being like, "Oh, look, you're all wet now, just like your mom."
That would have been funny.
That would have been good.
Chipotle could have said something funny, like a "fuck you" funny thing.
Well, dude, okay, this is the problem with all this whole thing, in my opinion, this specific part of the process. Chipotle maybe intends for its portions to be consistent. There's a spoon that's supposed to scoop a certain amount. We're ignoring the human component of all this, where it's like the people scooping don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. Like if I was scooping food for people, I don't know, like maybe I'd probably start off caring, and then I just get so annoyed at the amount of like vested finance bros who are being annoying to me that I would like start trying not to give the right portion. And then I would start being like, you got to do extra to try to like flex. So I can see how, it can erode to that point. But Chipotle may intend for their portions to be consistent, but they are not.
Yeah.
That everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a little bit of a whack response on their part, it seems.
Yeah, and the initial grievance was about like a particular situation that I had, and then I came to realize by the time I posted another video, like, no, this is a corporate issue. Like they when you're working at Chipotle, that's a tough job. Like you said, the corporate bros, like you're being spoken to. You're just like chicken, rice, extra vegetables, like that can be tiring. And so I can understand why I could understand why one person would be more likely to give you more, but solely depending on their mood that day. Like I get that. But just like
that end of the day portion, dude.
Yeah.
When they're just tossing it out at the end of the day or something, sometimes they'll dump the thing on it for you. You're like,
yeah, hell
I'll
yeah.
take all that corn, my boy.
Hell yeah. So that's where we're at. The one fun thing about it, the mystery, I'll tell any of you because you're listening to the podcast. There's like this thing in the comment section asking if I'm a Mormon. Because of how I dress for the videos.
And shit, yeah.
And it's funny because like I can see that. I can see why people would think that.
But you're looking like you're doing your mission or whatever they're required to do for 2 years. They go to fucking South America and spread the word of Joseph Smith and the Church of the Latter-day Saints or whatever. That is funny.
Yeah, but I'm not going to let anybody know. I'll respond with like, oh, wouldn't you like to know whether I'm Mormon or not?
Ryan,
so that's a fun little twist.
Yeah, Lynch is algorithm cocaine, dude. When Lynch is like our short form clips, anytime Ryan is the featured person in it, it is immediately performing better than my dusty ass, dude. I gotta fucking get it together in the new year. But we need more Lynch.
Yeah.
2 things. Number 1, my manager, we're in the Delta Lounge the other day. Surprise, surprise. I realized at one point, like the reason why we talk about fucking air travel so much in this podcast, I mean, I flew 50 times this year, which is my record. I know there's people who fly way more than that or whatever. But if you think about that, assuming that I'm on one flight a day, and sometimes I'm on more than one flight a day, but still, if you break it down, I'm at the airport. That's like 15% of the days of the year. 50 times, if I'm there 50 times, right? Roughly, not exactly, but it's a lot of time in the fucking airport, dude. So that's why. But anyway, we're in the Delta Lounge and my manager goes, I'll tell you, man, Lynch is a star. Hillary's sister thought that was so funny. Just hearing somebody actually say something like that out loud, like he's going to be a star. You know what I mean? So listen, this could be Lynch's big year. And you know, all the promise in the world.
Thanks, dude.
So listen, man, more money, more problems though. I'm wondering, is there do you now feel weird going into Chipotle?
Yes. The first time I went to Chipotle since the video started to take off, I wanted to do a mobile order and I changed the name to Bruce.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Hilarious.
Bruce L. And then I had Victoria and the first letter of her last name is the 2 meals. And then I go in and I was all hooded. This is me just like...
You're being serious.
Dead ass. This is like such like a... No one gives a fuck, like in the grand scheme of things. But
if you got called out, that would hurt.
It would. And I don't know. I don't want that. I don't want that. This beef is with corporate. But I can see why like people at Chipotle would want my head.
You're a man of the people, dude. They're gonna assassinate you, bro. You can be careful.
So
Patrice Lumumba.
Oh...
Dude, unbelievable.
So I go in there, I'm double hooded. I got my sweatshirt and my jacket hood on. Just like such a dork. And I go to the front, they're like, what's the name? And I said, Bruce L. And then she's like, we don't have that. And so then I mentioned Victoria and they're like, we don't have that. And so I see the bag with my name and an L at the end. And I was like, Ryan L. And she gave me the bag. I walked out. No one gave a fuck. It wasn't an issue. And I felt really lame for that. But I felt like I needed to do that going into it.
I mean, dude, look, you don't want to be having them fucking spitting in your bullshit, spitting in your shit. I just wonder if like the people would give a fuck.
I bet they don't.
Because it's not really like about them per se. Like each individual is like, there might be a guy who's like, bro, don't worry. You don't got to worry. Like I'll be out here scooping.
Yeah.
And then you fucking get him in the shot. Everybody wins, you know?
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, I will say this too. Sometimes like the receptacle can make a big difference. Like sometimes I'll be eating some fucking whatever salad from one of those places that herds you in and out. That's a problem with New York. There's no like casual order at the counter dining scene. It's like you're getting herded out of a upscale chain where you're paying $17 for a salad. Salad will be all right, but like there's nowhere to sit. You don't even want to sit in there. It's like sad in there. And they herd you in and out of whichever place. I don't even want to shout the places out because I'm so sick of going to them. And you know, you'll get your thing in a biodegradable bowl, compostable bowl, whatever. Great. And the bowl seems smaller than it actually is. Like they fit a lot of fucking food in there. Like if you were to pour that into like a bigger bowl, that bigger bowl would also seem full, which I find interesting. So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. From like a portion perspective, I don't know why or how that's relevant, but regardless, we need to get more like order at the counter. Okay, here's your number. And then you go sit down and they bring it to you type of vibes. Cause like there's places like that in LA. Like that is one thing culturally, in my opinion, that LA truly has over New York is like accessible healthy, delicious, middle price range food. Here, it's like you're going to some fucking obnoxious French restaurant, you know, where they're pumping ducks full of cream so you can eat their liver. Literally, isn't that
Yes.
what foie gras is?
That's the perfect
It's
example.
disgusting.
That's
And
the
some
perfect
obnoxious
example.
fucking tool bag being like, "Oh, monsieur, you want some sauce?" No, bro, I don't want fucking sauce. Get out of here. I don't want your sauce, dude.
You want bread? It's $7. That was Russian. But
What is it? Wait, the extra bread guy. Well, yeah, it's like fine dining or like chopped.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
No, there's nothing in between.
There
You're right.
really is not much in between. And the stuff that there is in between is like shitty. So LA really, that's one thing LA has. But
Yeah.
culturally, I like New York much better.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine was telling me that they made this map of America where it's like basically grouping different areas culturally together based on, I think, cities, like nearby cities or something. So like, you know, there was these big colored areas, and there were only two small specks where they said that like culturally these places were way different than the rest of the country. One of them was New Orleans, the other was New York City. And that's interesting, and I sort of agreed. Like I believe that there's nuances everywhere, but like I found that to be interesting. And if you really think about it, they probably are the two most unique cities in the country.
Mm-hmm. And again, what metrics are they using to quantify how unique
I'm not
they
sure
are?
how scientific it is. It was just there's some dude who like broke it down. I don't know. I forget specifically. I'd have to get my hands on the map or the article or whatever.
Cool. And then where you just were, is Toronto or Montreal the more diverse city?
So Toronto's super diverse. I don't know specifically what the deal with Montreal is. Montreal is like French, culturally French.
Okay.
But someone was explaining to me that because they have like threatened to try to gain independence so many times, it's like politically unstable in a way that it makes it not business friendly. So like the airport is huge, but it's not that busy. There's all these like interesting things where like Montreal is sort of like had prepared to be this like bigger hub than it's ended up becoming. And the narrative might not be over yet, but that's sort of like how it was explained to me. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Toronto's super diverse, and specifically because they have this initiative where I think Canada specifically in general is experimenting with letting in a ton of immigrants for like a period of time. It's either like 500,000 or 1 million immigrants a year. Tons of people are taking them up on that. And so because of that, it's super diverse. And I think generally speaking, to my knowledge, like Toronto's pretty diverse. And even just from like the comedy scene, I know a lot of those comedians from there. Most of them are like pretty ethnic. Mm-hmm. Like it's like a solid mix of different kinds of people. So
yeah, that makes sense. When a couple weeks ago, when Shohei Ohtani was considering going to Toronto, they were talking about the pros and cons as to why he would want to move there. And one of the things that they mentioned at the top of every segment was that it's a very diverse city, and culturally, like you have a little bit of everything there, more than most.
He would
areas
that
in the
would be
city.
good for him.
Well, we didn't know what he wanted,
But didn't it turn out that was bullshit? Like he wasn't even up there.
Yeah,
But that was
he
the
ended up not
discussion.
being there. But when everyone thought he was potentially going there, when they were pitching Toronto and reasons why you'd want to go there, that was one of the differentiating factors between there and most other cities.
Interesting.
So
That's cool.
That was cool. But he ended up in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. Makes sense. One thing I wanted to add, I've been really pleased at the solid contingent of like the Afghan diaspora, or however you pronounce that word, that have been coming to my shows on the road. It's been really fun and cool to see that you guys are taking an interest in my stuff beyond my Afghanistan content. So been having a lot of people show up at the shows, and it's been really fun, and they've really got a kick out of some of my material. So if you guys haven't seen me on the road, I mean, I do have a couple of shows coming up before I tape my special, and chances are, as I'm coming up with new shit, I will probably still be doing some of the stuff from the special before it actually comes out. So you'll probably get a chance to see some of it live still. I'm going to be, at least in the near future, in Phoenix and San Diego in January, Stamford, Connecticut. Lynch is coming to that one. That's a New York Comedy Club, Stamford, the 1st of February. Then I'm taping in the 16th of Chicago. A lot of the good tickets are moving for that one. So if you're planning to come to that, I would try to get them in the next couple of weeks before that show's completely sold out. But I'm pumped. So that's the deal, man.
That's right. So I think I know what the word diaspora means, but what does it mean?
Dude, I may be getting this completely wrong, but it's typically like a community of a specific ethnic group or a specific group that is sort of like scattered. And it's unclear to me if that specifically refers to people who were displaced or not. Does it say?
People who have been spread or been dispersed from their homeland.
Yeah. So yeah.
Damn.
So
Cool.
that's exactly what it is. I pretty much got it. So anyway, yeah, it's been cool seeing everybody at all the shows and stuff. So I got the Nicaragua video cooking and ready to come out.
How close are we?
Pretty close. I mean, I'm going back and forth doing notes right now on version 2. I just have to like do some of the voiceover, and I have a really fun trailer cooking up in my brain that I'm excited to drop out. That'll get people excited about it. So that should be cool. And dude, big year for us, man. It was a good year. We did it. I was a little disappointed with my overall country acquisition of visiting new places. But hopefully next year I'll get back on track and be able to really rip it. But hit the national parks hard. 28 new ones this year. And then hopefully next year will be an exploratory year.
Yeah.
Wrap my head all around all that.
Yeah. I checked off my first international travel to Europe off the list. I went twice, which was pretty exciting.
Sweet.
And so I'm very close to, what was it, 5 before I'm 30? 5?
I think
5 different countries
was
before I'm
that
30?
No, I think the goal was 10. For
10,
you,
that
right?
sounds right, because I think I'm at 5. But yeah, I'm about halfway there.
You got plenty of time. What are you, 27? 27?
I'm not about halfway there. I'm exactly halfway there. That's 5 out of 10.
Can we confirm that? Let's go over it again. The United States counts.
Okay. I went to the United States, went to the Bahamas. I've been to Aruba. I've been to Amsterdam. I've been to the Netherlands. I've been to London, which is in the UK.
Belgium.
And then I traveled through one of those countries.
Belgium on the train, right?
Yeah.
Counts.
So that's 6.
I'll give you that.
All right, so I'm more than halfway there.
So here's the problem, bro. I hate to do this to you, but Aruba, I believe, is a Dutch colony.
Yeah.
Which fucks you.
Doesn't that count?
No, dude.
Why? Come on. It's not here.
I'm fine with that. We can expand this category from countries or territories.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, well, I'll get to 11 just so that there's no...
No. This is a good amendment going into 2024.
Thank you.
If, for example, and if you want even like throwing Puerto Rico on this list, I would be fine with as well, even though it's part of America.
Yeah.
I think it's culturally, it's not a state, so we'll give it to you if you guys want.
But
if anybody's here listening.
Yeah,
So
but it was a good year. And I appreciate all of you guys as I've been, speaking a little bit more. I appreciate how kind you guys have been, and this has been a lot of fun. So
everybody loves Lynch,
and
dude.
Thanks to you too, Giulio.
Of course, man.
This has been a lot of fun.
This has been great, and hoping that you are doing things that you like to do. It seems like you are. It's been a cool, fun journey, and happy to be here in the trenches with you, dude.
Yeah.
I hope you guys got a bunch of amazing, sustainable gifts for Christmas from Reboot Eco. If you did not, and you got a bunch of money for Christmas, go and buy yourself some sustainable gifts from Reboot Eco.
That's a great idea.
The beauty of Christmas is the following, dude. This is the way it should work. It should be a sort of self-sustaining cycle where you are getting shit for everybody, but everyone's getting shit for you. Therefore, you are ultimately getting shit for yourself, which is great because you probably don't give yourself the opportunity to do that during the year.
Because you're a good boy or a good girl.
You're a good something. You're being good.
Better get something.
And you better get something. So go to Reboot Eco. They have everything you could ever want to live a more sustainable life. Most of it's stuff you need anyway. That's an important thing to include. Most of these are not novelty items. These are things every single person needs in their household, and Reboot Eco's got you covered. If you're vain the way we are and you care about your appearance, they also got you there. A lot of great sustainable beauty products, stuff that works, that's better for the environment, and it's also better for your body, Ryan.
Yeah, like the deodorant.
We love the deodorant. It really works. It truly works. And I actually really enjoy applying it as well. I try to cover every little area of my armpit as I apply it, which is quite fun, Ryan.
Yeah, it's been fun switching out, some of the products that we've had in our bathroom over time with things from Reboot Eco, and it's just perfect.
Yep.
They're great stuff.
It's
It's great stuff. It works, and I'm really happy we have it. If you haven't had the chance to check it out, you should do it right now with that extra Christmas money that you just got.
Yeah, they got all the good stuff. I've really been enjoying the sort of like wooden Q-tips. They still have cotton on the ends, but the kind of a wooden throat, if you will, the baton part.
Yes, the baton.
Love the toothbrushes. Like we said before, the bottoms are painted so that the wood doesn't get all cruddy. They've come up with really great solutions to make some of their beta products, stuff that makes more sense to use for a person who's on the go, like most of us probably are. So get in there right now. Go get some great stuff. You'll be amazed at the wide array of products they have. You'll be supporting small businesses and a small business itself, Reboot Eco, who has a bunch of products from small, local, sustainable businesses. Go to rebooteco.com right now. Use promo code OOPS for 15% off of your online order. That's REBOOTECO.com. Promo code OOPS, 15% off. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Reboot Eco. Go get some sustainable stuff. 2024. Let's keep the earth crushing it. And let's keep feeling good. People always I joke about this in my stand up, but people but people fuck my name up. So anytime where there's some sort of name review occurring, I always have unique things unfold. So this was funny. And this is a classic thing that would happen to me. So a guy is checking IDs when we're in St. Pete. Okay. And my tennis friends from college showed up and we were going to this bar and he starts reading everybody's names and just trying to nail them. So he was all right, and saying first and last names and being okay, Hans, and ultimately getting everybody's names. They weren't that hard, but he's getting them, right? And he kind of struggles with one. I'm I can't wait to see what he does when he gets mine. I hand him my ID. He looks at it. He just starts laughing and hands it back to me. I was that is exactly how that would go. Mm-hmm. That is completely classic.
You seem to be pretty okay with that, right?
Yeah.
You've been pretty chill about that.
I'm so used to it. Hillary is always shocked. Something that I was featured in that was on TV, they spelled my name wrong in it. The credits came out of something that was literally on TV and my name was spelled wrong.
How was it spelled?
GIULIO or something.
GIULIO.
By the end of the day, they fixed it, but it was I actually wasn't even going to say anything. Hillary's are you serious? You have to. I was okay. I'm just so used to people fucking it up that I almost have this weird Stockholm syndrome thing where I understand. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Stockholm syndrome is when you form a bond with whoever
your
has power
captor.
over you, your captor.
Yeah. So you get kidnapped and then you become aligned with that person's values instead of, even though you're kidnapped.
Yeah.
Which is sort of this thing. I'm ignoring the fact that people just aren't giving my name any effort. And I'll tell you what, dude, it's not. So I've been working at a new comedy club a lot. And there's some new hosts who are bringing me up. Some of them are struggling with my name, but there is one host who this guy's kind of a legendary host of comedy. His name's Artie Fuqua, legend. I just assumed that he was going to have trouble with my name because everybody does the first time. And they're Giulio Gagliardi, and they'll fuck it up usually, but it's okay. Usually they'll get close and that's fine. If you try, I'm fine with it. If you don't, then why didn't you try? It's a hard name. You should have tried. Anyway, so I'm used to all that. He asked me, and this is a late show, Saturday night. Things are hectic, whatever day it was. He's all right, how do I say your name? I'm Giulio Gagliardi. He goes, got it. And I'm there's no fucking way. There is absolutely no fucking way.
It's the server that doesn't take notes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this guy is, by the way, I'm now 0-2.
Oh, okay. Okay.
2 times where it was unclear. In that category. That's a callback. Sorry, I'm not going to get into it now. So anyway, Artie also does a ton of wacky, fun stuff up there. He's got the band going. He's singing. He's bringing people on stage. It's a whole thing. Finally, it's my turn to go up. Nails it. And I was that's a fucking pro right there. That's a pro. Mm-hmm. So
does seeing him do that so effortlessly make you more frustrated when somebody that looks like they're intentional, they're I got it, and they really look like they're going to nail your name and then they completely fumble it?
Yeah. It makes me less understanding in the moment. I'm sure I'll be worn down again as time goes on. But listen, man, and especially it depends the scenario. If we're at the Comedy Cellar, right? I mean, this is the best comedy club in the world famous. I understand if hosts there are less desperate to get it right, especially if I'm new. They're like, who's this new guy? Whatever. You know what I mean? I actually would understand theoretically more if somebody in that environment fucked it up. Now, nobody has been like neglectful. Like most of these guys are like pros, and if they do fuck it up, they tried. They're like, they look at me, they're like, Giulio Gallerati. After I've already told them, they say it a few times to make sure they got it, and then maybe they'll fuck it up, but they tried. To me, that's all that matters is the effort there. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, dude, I'll be on the road or something, and I'll have the like assigned host who's just some dude who like lives there. Sometimes these guys are funny, other times they're not as funny. But the fact that that person wouldn't try blows my mind a little bit. You know, you're working with like a comic from like a big market, a touring comic. Like you'd think that you want to leave a good impression. To not care in that scenario is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Even if that person's getting used every weekend and doing bigger weekends than mine, I don't know. Like you want, like theoretically that person is building up to having a better comedy career, right? Like why would you not try to have a good showing?
Yeah. That's like a great networking opportunity.
Sure. Right. Like what, I mean, not that I can even do much for that person, but like maybe I can, I don't know.
But someone could love them.
Right.
And that's just how it happens.
Totally.
Being prepared and a little bit of luck. Damn.
And I'll say this too. This is funny because like, depending on how good my show is will dictate how much I feel like I have a hill to die on when it comes to this kind of shit. Like if my show sucks, like if there's nobody at my show, like if my show's barely attended, like, and the host isn't as sharp, I don't feel like I have as much leeway there to like be tough on them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, fine. I get it, dude. There's nobody here. Like, see, as far as you think, this is like not that great of an opportunity. I remember one of my shows, I like, it was like a middle of the week show. I had no time to promote it. Like wasn't that heavily attended. And I said to one of the waitresses, I was like, have I told this story already?
I don't think so.
I said to one of the waitresses, I was like, how you doing? Like, how's it going? She goes, you literally just asked me that like 2 minutes ago.
Oh,
and I was like,
worst.
sorry. I was like, I don't know. I was like, and you know, it's amazing how, and dude, even some nights, like if I'm doing comedy, like if I'm hanging before I go up on stage and I like feel comfortable, like sitting with a person who like makes me uncomfortable, I know my set's going to be better. It's so weird. It's a weird thing. Like if I'm feeling confident in general, it will mean that like my set's going to be better. Even though it's like not directly related to the comedy itself. I don't really know how to explain it. I guess it kind of makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, I watched the Chris Rock, Kevin Hart documentary a couple nights ago that you suggested last
week.
Did you
like it?
I loved it.
It's cool, right?
It was an awesome watch. And you know, everyone's got the, you know, you see the behind the scenes before the MSG show. Chris Rock has all of his index cards and Kevin Hart is popping in and taking a look at that. Mm-hmm. I'd love to know like the 10 to 15 minutes before you get on stage, especially for like a big show that you're prepping for. What's your process like? Who's in the room? Who don't you want in the room? What's the green room environment like for you?
Oh, this is a good one. I like it. I prefer like a fun green room. Like I've been on the road for years with like different comedians, and it's funny to see the way that different comedians do their thing and to like take little pieces from that I feel work for me. Like PD, for example, our boy, he, you know, his green room is usually pretty fun. Like it'll be a good group of people. He'll have some music on. We'll hang in there for a while, some snacks. Like it's a good hang. And I like that. There's other comics who like it quiet. They're like, I need it quiet. Like, how is it like loud? You know what I mean? I don't like that. Now, I don't want it to be like a random party. Like I don't want random people in there. You know what I mean? Like if one of my openers, you know, say it's Danny, like a guy who's like always going out meeting girls or whatever. If he were to like meet a girl and be like, can I bring her? I'd say, okay. But if she started like acting shitty, I'd be mad at him. You know what I mean? So that's like a risk he has to be willing to take in that situation. So like, I don't want bad vibes in there, but I don't want it to be quiet. So now this is interesting. So I am in a state where I'm usually preparing. So at some point I'll like wake up from laying down, whether I napped or not, I'll lay down for a little bit. And then I get up, and before I take a shower, I usually like to just sort of think about what I'm going to do. Even if I'm like really ready, Or if I'm not as ready, meaning like I haven't been on the road recently, I'm like, okay, what am I going to talk about? I'll like go through some of that stuff already and just like figure out the order of how I feel like doing stuff. And then when I get to the venue, I will write down the bullet point order of what I'm doing just to make sure I remember it. And I like to have music on while I do that. And I like to have people talking around me when I do that, because if I'm distracted and I can still write it down, it means I remember it.
Okay.
Is that interesting?
That is interesting.
I do that intentionally. So I'll write it down. I'll do it, you know, and sometimes like, and as Chris Rock said in that show, which was interesting, he has all the note cards. It's like stuff I want to make sure I say. So there might be a broad bullet point, but there might also be like a bullet point that's less important. And that's just a tag I want to remember to say. Where I'm like, ooh, I want to try that today. You know what I mean? And it's always a work in process. And that's why, and I feel like that's how I keep it current and like true to me. Like the joke might be done or close to done, but there's no reason that it can't evolve into a version that's truer to me in the moment. Because I wrote the joke 2 years ago, or I wrote it 5 years ago or whatever. Like you don't think the same way you did before. So if you're not reflecting that while you're on stage, there's something missing. You're like, your voice isn't connecting to your material. So you need to be consistent in your like POV, I think. So all that stuff kind of helps. So, and people have asked me, they're like, will there be a day where you've locked in your set for your special? And the answer is, yeah, the day before. I hope to get to run that hour that earlier that week. And that after that will be it. And I still might even try new stuff the day I tape. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of my process in general. There's a good quote in that documentary that I really like, where Chris Rock says, he's like, comedy is subjective, but killing is not. Mm-hmm. That's very true. I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And that made me think, I'm like, oh, wow. Like, because the comedy is subjective thing has been like a thing that I fall back on. If I'm like if I don't have a good set, or if I don't connect with a group of people or whatever. And it's like, it's kind of a bullshit thing. And I've even seen some of these like young comics who like have big Instagrams, they post clips, like they're good at that. But I've seen them like in the room and like their vibe is just like not translating. They're just like not that good yet. You know what I mean? It takes a while to get good at it, dude. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people who watch me go up who've been in the game longer than me or who are better comics than me that think I suck. You know what I mean? I'm sure that exists. Or even people who aren't, who think I suck. So I guess that's when the subjective thing comes in. But if you can rip it, you can rip it. You got to try.
Yeah, the energy that like, I haven't seen a lot of Chris Rock. I've just started watching some Dave Chappelle recently. Like the energy that they come out with is insane. I didn't even know I know Eddie Murphy's a great, but I never bothered to watch any of his stuff. And
everybody always references it.
I honestly haven't even watched any of it since the doc, but just the small snippets that I saw in the doc, like he really had the whole room.
Eddie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend, dude.
So
I mean, that's really why I got interested in stand-up. I think that is probably true for a lot of people, but he just had such popular specials where, you know, he was the fucking king. He was the man. So it was interesting to hear how like he sort of like brought Chris Rock around and stuff and gave him opportunities. And speaking of which, it looks like our boy PD is going to be in a movie with him soon. They're shooting one together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not sure the specific. He's told me a little bit about it, but I don't know how much they've like talked about it publicly yet. But I know they're doing a movie together, so
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty fucking sick.
I know Beverly Hills Cop 4 is coming out next
year.
They just dropped a trailer for that.
No way.
I've never seen any of them.
Oh my god, dude, so good.
But it was interesting to know that Eddie Murphy threw young Chris Rock a bone and gave him a little part in the movie as what, a chauffeur.
It was in Beverly Hills Cop.
In one of them, yeah. He had a small role in it.
Yeah. I remember seeing him in there. Yeah, that's so crazy, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go back and check those movies out.
Yeah, that rules.
Really good documentary. I'd suggest to check that one out too.
Yeah, we watched it when we were in Canada. Did I say that? I don't know if I mentioned that, but they made me like watching shit like that. Like makes me like pumped up to perform. Like there were times in the past where it would like intimidate me and make me not want to because I'm like, ooh, this is like a lot of pressure. Like. What if I don't think can I even get that good? Like probably not. You know what I mean? And it's like, does that mean that I shouldn't even be trying? But I don't know. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I'm pretty proud of where I'm at.
You should be.
So dude, I've been doing this new thing. Sorry to shift here. If you have other comedy related questions, we can do them. But I've been doing this thing recently. I'm realizing that's interesting. So it's kind of parallel to a more conventional thing. You know, you and your boys, you'll rate a girl, right? You'll be like, oh, she's an 8, she's a 7, she's a 10. I don't know if you do or don't do that. You don't have to admit it. Obviously, every guy does that. Sorry.
I'm aware of this ranking system.
Everybody, this is a thing that people obviously do. Okay. Now, I don't find myself doing that often because it feels way too specific. Like, I think that if you're going to rate people by their just raw attractiveness, I think you can simplify it much more into like, I don't know, like I'd die to sleep with that person. And especially, you know, I would sleep with that person. If, you know, I was desperate, I'd sleep with that person, and I wouldn't sleep with that person. Those feel like the categories.
Those are pretty fair quadrants.
Those feel like those feel better than when I hear a guy be like, she's like a 7.25. That feels like very misogynistic in a way that's like corny. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. I don't want to, like, when I think about my partner and like, I don't want to think of myself as like thinking something about her part of the species. Where I'm like,
like as in
chicks,
her having a
women,
ranking?
women. Like, he'll dog will run circles around all these fucking dudes. You know what I mean? In every category. So like, we don't need to like classify that way. That may not make sense.
No, it makes sense.
But what I'm trying to get at is it feels rude to like, she's a 7.18. Like, what do you like? Clearly that system isn't consistent. You know what I mean? I think we can make the categories more broad. Anyway, but I have been using the number system to rank acquaintances.
I was getting nervous. I was like, "What kind
Where
of
is he going with
I was like,
this?
"Are we gonna have a conversation that I'm gonna get in trouble for?"
No. Rating acquaintances because. So I'll be talking with my friends and I'll be like talking about another comedian and I'll be like, he's like a 6. But I mean, as far as like how solid of a dude he is. Mm-hmm. So to me, 5 is the cutoff where like below 5, it means I don't like the person. So if I'm like, that guy's like a 4.2, I think he sucks in some capacity. Now there might be a guy who's like kind of annoying, but he's like ultimately solid. Like he's a nicer guy than he is annoying. So he gets like a 5.5. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I've been like, he's like a 5. And I just think that's like hilarious because we've been doing it. And in comedy, you have so many acquaintances and you could do it with your work people. So if like you have work friends and you're like, how do you feel about Bob? You're like, he's like a 5.2.
Yeah.
You know? I like talking to him, but he goes on and on a little bit about his medical problems. I don't care, Bob, about your medical, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's been fun. But the one caveat that's interesting, you can't really do that with your friends because, you know, your friends might suck. Like your friends might have like terrible personality traits where if they weren't your friend, they'd be a 4. But because they are, you score them much higher. And I don't think there's any way to like account for that accurately. Mm-hmm. So I don't include my actual friends in this system.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to rank your friends because then that'll get back to them.
No, even if it doesn't get back to them, like, you know, I have very good friends who have like some personality flaws. And if I wasn't friends with them, I might think that they were annoying, but I am friends with them. Therefore we've had such significant bonding moments where we like care about each other and we've done things for each other. And that trumps whatever bad tendencies they might have. Whereas if they were just my acquaintance and I sit down with them, like, here we go, this guy's going to talk at me for 40 minutes. I might not be as willing to let them do it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, dude, the other night I was exhausted. I went to Chicago for the day to scout, to like do stuff for my special. And I had a spot that night at like midnight, which turned into 12:45. And I was so tired. And some guy comes over and sits down with us. And he just starts talking. And my boy who I was with after was like, dude, I like wasn't ready for that. And I was like, you know, what's funny? I was, because when I saw him coming over, I was like, I'm too tired to talk. And I know this guy will just talk the whole time. So now I'm just chilling. Yep. Hit me with all of it. What have you been up to? Tell me your life story again, even though I've heard this 50 times.
Does he even take a break to breathe?
Barely. But that, you know, it was the perfect timing for me and him to sit with each other because I knew if you want to hit me with it now, this is a good time, dude.
It makes me think of the guy from the I Think You Should Leave sketch where who's the chubby actor who was in Cruella. He had his own movie about the Atlanta bombing. We'll cut this, but I want to get
Paul Walter Hauser.
Paul Walter Hauser.
It's my boy, dude.
Oh, it reminds
name
me
dropping.
It's my boy. It reminds me of the sketch from Paul Walter Hauser did. I Think You Should Leave, where his supportive wife is telling him that he should do this play, and he's like, he's stealing all my lines, and it's just this guy, and he just says all the lines, interrogating the person, and he's like, oh, if they're your lines, you got to say them faster, otherwise I'm going to say them. I really want to say the lines. He's that kind of guy. He's like, he stakes all my lines.
Bro, he's so funny. That was so funny. He takes all my lines. Dude, that's one of the funniest.
I gotta go.
But that all ends with him realizing he loves his wife and doesn't want to play this game, right?
And his friend's like, come on, I got the sleeping bag. And he's like, I gotta go.
Guys, this sketch, like, there's no possible way that this would make any sense if you didn't watch the show and like it.
Sorry. Well, we've recommended it a bunch.
It's a great show.
It's a great watch. I threw it on the other morning.
So funny.
With Victoria, and I did the thing where, you know, she's like, I'm gonna read, but like, you know, I'll lay in bed while you watch.
Does she like it now? You said she'll get a chuckle once in a while.
She'll
right?
get a chuckle, but I have to like force it on her,
Yeah.
which makes her not like it as
Exactly.
much. I mean, what you wouldn't like something that someone forces on you, but I'll be like, oh, you gotta watch this one, and she's like, oh, okay, and then I'm like forcing it on her. I want her to like it so badly, but it's never gonna be our thing. Such a great job.
It's like with music where, and some kid said this to me one time, like a friend of a family friend, this kid who I'd always see around because he'd always be hanging out with him. He would tell me, he's like, he said some like real ass shit. He was like playing music and he's like, dude, he's like, the move, he's like, you shouldn't try to force your music on other people. He's like, just play it and they'll realize it's sick and then they'll ask about it. I'm like, that's very true. Mm-hmm. Wise behind your ears,
it's very
young man.
wise.
But yeah, dude, no, that guy, but he's so funny, man. Such a funny actor. And I did that whole bub kiss sequence with him. And that was really fun. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I just want to say I did stalk his IMDb recently, and he's rumored to be starring in Tarantino's final film.
Wow.
His name is next to, I think it's called The Movie Critic, and then it says rumored right next to
Wow.
him. So he would be great.
Oh, that's sick, dude.
Yeah.
Good for him, man.
Yeah. I'm excited for when that one comes out.
He's really good. I mean, Blackbird is that show he was in. Have you seen that?
I haven't, but I know he's
I think
in that
he
one.
won an Emmy or a Golden Globe. Dude, he was incredible. I mean, he is funny. He's a real gem of our generation.
What's his name again?
Paul Walter Hauser.
I saw him at random one, but I saw him in Cruella. He was very funny in that one
he was in
too.
that.
Cruella was really good. I saw that on the 4th of July. It was pouring out at the movies, and that movie banged. Like,
really?
Yeah, Emma Stone killed, and he was great too. He played a whimsical, silly, henchman-like character.
That's got to be a good gig too
I liked
for
him a
those
lot.
guys, right?
Yeah, but the
It's
first
gotta be
movie I
good
saw
money,
with
good cash.
The first movie I saw with him was Richard Jewell.
Oh, he's great in that too.
That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
He's
one.
also good in I, Tonya.
I haven't seen that one.
Dude,
I got to see that
amazing
one.
in it.
Yeah. So him and Jesse Plemons. So
those are your boys. Those are your fucking boys. Dude, Hill Dog and I encountered something that was like so disturbing. We were walking down the street and we see this lady trip over a crack and just face plant into the ground. Smash her face into the ground. And this was like a perfectly competent with it woman. It was like could have been one of our moms, which made it like really hit hard. Like she smashed her face. We roll her over. And there's a couple other good Samaritans nearby. She's trying to get up. She has like a hole in her forehead. And it's blood is basically gushing out of it. So we like get her some tissues, like paper towels, put them on her forehead. She's like, I'm fine. And we're like, can you stay down? Like, sorry. Like, and then we're like, all right, we realize she's fine. We're like, you do need to go to the hospital potentially though. Not like telling her what to do, but she's like, I was going to meet my friend for dinner. Like, let me call her. And she was like, poor thing. She was like so shaken. She was like trying to keep her composure, but tears were just like running down her face. She like wasn't crying, but like she was, you know what I mean? And we're kind of like holding her and trying to like figure out how to get her into the hospital. We had never been to the hospital around here, but we're like trying to figure it out, whatever. And it was like a really stressful, sad, but I'm sure she's fine. Sue from Tampa, dude. If you're hearing this,
wow.
Hope you're feeling better. When you smash your head like that, though, you should go to the hospital. If you just go to bed with an unmonitored concussion, like you can fucking die.
How far away was the hospital? How long?
Dude, 3 seconds away.
Oh, wow.
And she was fine, but she needed stitches. It was like gash in the forehead, and you bleed out of your forehead.
You really?
Yeah.
You could?
No, you do. Like if you if you like smash your head and you have a cut, like you'll bleed more, which makes it seem like it's a worse thing than it is because blood gushing out is like jarring.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
That is sad. So she really
Dude,
like one,
wow.
like if it was like a cartoon animation, like Family Guy, like frame 1, she's standing, frame 2, just completely 90 degrees horizontal on the ground.
Yeah, but there was momentum because she was moving forward. Ugh. So like hit and boom, smack, like very, very intense hitting of the ground by our girl.
Damn, were other people around? Do you think if you weren't there that someone else would have helped out?
There was a group, and more people were coming offering to help, and then they realized that like we had it because we weren't doing anything. We're like we were literally just walking around looking at Christmas decorations, which is fun and a nice activity.
Yeah, and you did a good thing after.
It was nice, dude. And by the way, guys, I know that we said that Marina from Squid Games is going to be on this episode. She is a solar technician, we've learned, which is fun information for anybody who's fans of the show. And she was running late today because there was a job that just had to get done, which I love the way she phrased that.
Yeah, so we're going to have her on again.
Probably in the near future.
Very soon. So she's really excited to come on. We're excited to have her. And just stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Okay, let's do an email here and then let's take it home. Guys, it's been a great year. Good luck with everything. Hope you were able to enjoy your holiday. Take some time off in the vapid wasteland that is the time between Christmas and New Year's. Hopefully some real good time to turn it all off and enjoy your life. So without further ado, last email of the year, Ryan.
Okay.
This is called Oops the Nightmare. We get one of these every once in a while, probably once a year, a story about somebody who had a dream about us in some capacity, and they're usually pretty entertaining. So hi, Giulio and Ryan. I'm Erica, longtime listener, but this is my first time emailing the show. America. I've recently been catching up on episodes, and due to the sheer volume of content my brain has been ingesting, it's needless to say that you two have been on my mind. Because of this, I would love to share the extremely vivid dream I had the other night featuring the two of you. I'm going to pause real quick. When I have a very vivid dream, it means I'm like not sleeping well. Is that true for you two or no?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that more.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Cue dreamy sound effects and clouds that turn from opaque to transparent. I love the specificity.
We'll add the sound effect.
We open on a huge cargo ship. However, there are no steel shipping containers. Instead, movie theater seats that all look to the front of the ship where a huge projector screen is set up. I'm wandering around looking for a good seat, but I can't find one that's satisfactory. I decide to walk to the very front of the boat, mere feet from where this projector screen stands. As I approach, there are no other than two people. Sorry, cut that. As I approach, there are only two other people I see, Giulio Gallerati and Ryan Lynch. We briefly say hello to each other as we settle in on the steel hull. The movie begins. Naturally, metal can lend itself to being very cold in the middle of the ocean during November, so I cover myself with a light blanket. The blanket doesn't quite reach my feet, which are sticking out behind me, uncovered. I'm lying on my stomach, and this is important. I like where this is going, dude. I'm minding my own business while the projector is turning on, and none other than Ryan Lynch walks up behind me, crouches down, and lays his head on my feet very gently.
No.
Have you read this one yet?
I haven't.
I haven't either. This is great. I turn back as if to say, "What the fuck, man?" But no words come out. Dude, this is hilarious. This is like a real sketch Ryan would write. He must have clearly read the expression on my face because he quickly got up and walked away. Although not before covering my toes with the blanket. Always a gentleman, Ryan.
So creepy.
The movie starts and it's entirely archival footage of my father and me from when I was a child. Ryan is cracking up right now.
No. This is great. This is a dream. This is a real dream.
Yeah. A montage of my home movies that I had never seen before. For example, a video of my dad pushing me down a snowy hill while I sat on a sled. So wholesome. That's when I turned to Giulio and said, "How did you get these?" He responded, "From your family, of course." Obviously. However, I grew up in South Florida and never went sledding in the snow with my dad ever in my life. Panic started to set in. This sounds like a trip, like she's tripping or something. Suddenly, the steel of the ship turned into the same material as a plastic intertube. We all gripped the boat for dear life. I ran to the back of the ship where the movie theater seats had once been. They had been overtaken by water. My foot slipped and I fell off the boat, barely catching a piece of floating driftwood as the boat capsized. Then I woke up and dreamed. It definitely gave me a chuckle as I was coming to in the middle of the night. I hope it did for you guys as well. This is great. I also wonder, did you remember this in the morning? Like, if I were to wake up from a dream like this and I didn't literally specifically write it down, I would forget in an hour. Anyway, she continues on. I love the pod and try to tell literally everybody I know about it. Thank you. And please, everybody else do the same. My friend and I are even planning to move to Brooklyn in the new year. I may also be planning to move to Brooklyn, and Ryan lives in Brooklyn. And have been low-key studying how you live so we can be prepared. I love it. That doesn't sound creepy at all. Almost as creepy as Ryan laying his head on your bare feet. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for sending the email. Good stuff. Happy New Year, everybody. Send us your emails. Send us your thoughts. oopspodcast@gmail.com. Another great year in the books. 2024 is going to be the big fucking year.
Hell yeah.
Continuing with the maiden character energy. You are the lead in your own plot. Go out there. Carpe diem, baby.
Yeah. Love you guys so much.
We love you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
It's been real. Signing off for 2023. GG and RL. Catch you next year.
Peace.